Apparently Kevin Hunter is wanting to go unclear bank in his battle against his ex Wendy Williams and make the last endeavor to persuade the adjudicator in continuing his support installments. It seems like his new disappointments in court didn't show him anything and he attempts to weasel his way into Wendy's pockets anyway. The previous television have is certain that his further endeavors will possibly bankrupt him and last hard when she finds out about his best course of action against her. Greetings everybody and welcome back to Celeb Live Station. I keep my eyes on the most shocking occasions in the big time and continuously present to you the most sweltering updates. So Kevin Hunter probably been exhausted by this provision dramatization and right now he hesitantly continues thumping on a similar entryway expecting another outcome. Word is on the road that his new recording against his ex Wendy Williams went south and the previous television have can't hide her euphoria seeing her overabundance distress. Well, I have every one of the subtleties here, so make a point to remain with me to get them. First, it seems to be Wendy Williams' support show is reaching its end on the grounds that the previous television host's consideration has moved to other are significant things. Obviously Kevin utilized every one of his stunts and has no more pros on his armada, and keeping in mind that Wendy appeared to disregard her past life loaded with treachery and addictions, Kevin Hunter and his paramour are in misery. Well, Wendy merits her tranquility from these two bloodsuckers since they sucked truckload of cash from her record over the most recent few decades, and Wendy's lawyer did the unthinkable to get her frozen cash far from their range. As you most likely realize, she nevertheless can't completely get to her assets for some time now since she was put under a monetary guardianship. A lamentable development for Wendy's ex Kevin Hunter. It was uncovered that he was nearly losing everything in view of a proviso in his legal documents. The understanding permitted Wendy to quit paying divorce settlement in the event that she were done dealing with the Wendy Williams show and getting an equivalent measure of pay from another television project, which obviously was exceptionally difficult to match. Wendy was supposedly making around $10 million per year or $55,000 for each one episode for the Wendy Williams show. As it was expressed, her compensation was cut following she was terminated from the show and the previous television have gotten no remuneration, so losing employment and pay permitted her monetary watchman to quit sending her ex-fat support checks. Yet, as Kevin Hunter put it in his recording to the court, it seemed like his lifesaver was sliced off. As per the reports, Kevin relied upon the spousal installments from Wendy and without them couldn't pay for mortgage holder affiliation, vehicle protection, and to take care of his remarkable charge card bills. He made an enormous announcement about his monetary pressure and what non-attendance of Wendy's cash meant for his life. In his long request, she composed the way that I can't support my life and cover my bills, and request is very eminent to me. I can't take care of my bills and support my day-to-day living. He unquestionably anticipated the adjudicator to have compassion toward his hardships, yet his tragic account and tears didn't persuade the equity framework. However, another Jersey judge found Kevin's requests were not rising and requested the new application to be excused without bias. Regardless of this horrendous result, Kevin didn't remember to surrender on the grounds that as he accepted that in some measure half of Wendy's cash really had a place with him, so he accumulated one more group of lawyers trusting that new blood will some way or another assist him with dissuading Wendy's gatekeeper. I mean, any respectable individual would uphold right now, yet not Kevin. The ravenousness drove him visually impaired and crazy, and he began to utilize the remainder of his cash to get back at Wendy. Clearly he accepted, or his fancy woman persuaded him, that removing them was Wendy's underlying plan from the beginning, and deciding by Wendy's response it appears to be more than conceivable. And clearly Wendy was not stowing away by any means, since she admitted that she wanted to separate from Kevin at the most ideal second. Charges about her plotting to remove him totally began to show up, as Wendy Williams gladly expressed in one of her post-detachment interviews. He utilized his great credit to buy property that he decided to whimper and pass on in his extramarital undertakings. I hailed to separate from Kevin and I forfeited a ton of myself to come out effective on the opposite side, and everything worked. I think about when he merits her snapshot of festivity on the grounds that Kevin has no more choices and ways of getting to her cash. Yes, she forfeited a ton, remembering her dearest vocation for television and her program, yet She is back now and wanting to shock her fans with something new. Clearly, Wendy is certain that Kevin's disaster in court will show him a thing or two and perhaps compel him to man up a little. They'll express the time has come for Kevin to understand that Wendy never needed to support his life after the separation, and Kevin ought to have been more brilliant in his burning through. One individual composed, "I can't comprehend the reason why they believed that the sovereign would permit them to live of her well-deserved abundance. All the best and great well-being to Wendy." And someone else remarked, "Kevin joins the positions of failures. When you are not the provider, no one will deal with you perpetually." An ex-con honored with a daily existence he was unable to bear without anyone else. Well, we as a whole realize that partaking in somebody's setbacks isn't pleasant, yet it's memorable's essential that this man wasn't just laying down with one more person for a very long time of his marriage, yet in addition fathered a youngster with her and attempted to conceal this reality from his better half. Wendy needed to enlist a confidential specialist to follow Hunter since she associated him with cheating, and that is the means by which she figured out that his courtesan Sharina Hudson is expecting a child. So this was the straw that broke the camel's back, and she settled on a daring choice to seek legal separation. Yet on account of Kevin it was far more atrocious in light of the fact that reason around then he was likewise utilized by his then spouse and filled in as a maker of her show. As Kevin himself reviews, "That day I got terminated from the board, served legal documents, and furthermore terminated from the show all around the same time." No doubt Wendy has the right to be content at the present time, and seeing her approaching back to work implies that she in her heart and brain buried the hatchet with Kevin and let him proceed to carry on with his new life. However, he actually pursues the phantom of his past, and despite the fact that he moved in with his new family, he actually attempts to weasel his way into Wendy's life somehow. Yet with his disappointments in court and non-attendance of strong motivations to record one more case, he's left with only lawyers' bills to pay. Some of you might concur that this is karma returning him all that he had done to his ex in full, on the grounds that regardless of his uproarious assertions about supporting Wendy and continuously being a family, he started openly embarrassing her and tossing conceal after the separation occurred. Fans can't fail to remember Kevin, his Instagram post where he composed, "I attempted to let them know well-being is abundance, not cash." Many individuals thought that she attempted to toss shots at Wendy's flow medical conditions, despite the fact that it is hazy, assuming Hunter was alluding to his ex's present status. Many accepted he was, given the previous couple's violent history around then. Wendy was confronting various well-being problems, including Graves' sickness and lymphedema, which she was determined to have in 2003. On top of that, she was engaging temperance issues which were brought about by her division from her ex, and in light of the fact that this stacked up simultaneously, Wendy needed to look into a restoration office in 2019. So as Kevin's post started flowing via online entertainment, a large number of individuals denounced him for what they felt was an unseemly transfer. I mean, this man might have recognized the individual who has been taking care of him for a really long time. After all, she gave him a task as a maker, and I question that he would have had the option to make his own show with someone else close by, on the grounds that up until this point we don't see Sharina Hudson transform into a superstar. And, surprisingly, after the separation, Wendy freely uncovered that she was monetarily supporting her ex and his new family. So Kevin underestimated everything, and presumably much more dreadful, he could have accepted that he truly merited these installments. So rather than continuing on and tracking down different undertakings to deliver, he kept living like a lord and transparently showered his courtesan of extravagance. He may have accepted he had scored that sweepstakes and cash was coming constant to cover every one of his bills and costs, while he didn't need to move a finger to procure them. This way of life was not difficult to such an extent that when it suddenly halted, he felt deceived by Wendy and was prepared to drag her through well-being just to get his thoughtless way of life back. Yet not any longer. I surmise he can disregard Wendy's Adam perpetually and begin embracing the way that cash ought to be procured, not taken, and keeping in mind that Kevin attempts to sort out some way to keep supporting his courtesan developing requests. Wendy is really glad that his endeavors to sue her flopped wretchedly, like many individuals who side with the previous television have in this present circumstance. I can't see anything terrible in her ongoing festivals. After all, we've all been Hanging tight for the second when Kevin can at this point not concoct reasons to drag her to court. Wendy's fans are happy that she's liberated from him and can proceed to carry on with her free and rich life. One of my supporters remarked, "I truly can't really accept that Kevin thought he planned to get Wendy cash. He truly thought he would have been ready to not don't get her cash and agree with care of his stance. Chick, I can't accept certain individuals in some cases." And someone else added, "Kevin can apply for Medicaid for his hip medical procedure and Sharina can apply for government assistance one way or the other. A ton of occupations are recruiting. I don't have any idea what is the issue." Well, I surmise the issue with Kevin and Serena is that they want to be played by Wendy and can't let the circumstance go in light of the fact that they consider themselves casualties. Yet I'm happy that Kevin's lawyers are of another assessment and Wendy doesn't want to examine any terms of settle.